Are you open up to the public, Yeni?
Yeah, Amanda just did.
But do we have to open up in Zoom as well?
It's already open.
Ah, okay. So we already have folks in.
I'm prepping it to go on Facebook.
Live.
Oh yeah, participants. Now I can see a bunch of participants. Hey, welcome everybody that is joining us. We'll be starting shortly. Betsy, are you there? Yes.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
I don't have any visuals. There's no video.
All right, we are going live on Facebook.
All right. Now you're on, Betsy.
Woohoo!
All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll be giving a few minutes to start here. Just waiting for a few folks to join us. And then shortly, Betsy will be introducing our workshop today. Thanks for joining.
Oh, we have someone from New Jersey here. Welcome.
Amanda, Yeni, do you guys think we are ready to start?
You're all good on my end.
Yep, same here.
All right, Betsy, all yours.
Perfect. Thank you, Flavia, and thank you for everyone who's signing in today. My name's Betsy Wheaton. I'm the Environment and Sustainability Director with the City of Miami Beach. And today we are having our second virtual Sustainachella. Sustainachella is going to be a series of virtual workshops that we're going to be hosting over the month of April to celebrate Earth Month. So today we're going to be focused on transportation because it's Transportation Tuesday, and we're going to be hearing from Kara with Rising Above. She has a nonprofit whose mission is to empower and educate individuals through outdoor adventures. We're excited because she's going to be doing a bike repair session, which is apropos for this time. It's a great way to be sustainable and stay solo. And then we're going to hear from Linda Weston, who is with our transportation department, and she's going to talk about the city's sustainable transportation initiatives. I'd like to give a special thanks to Yanni Pineda and Alicia Bertholomew, as well as Flavia Tonioli, who made this all possible today. So thank you for your hard work in getting this set up, as well as Amanda Carballo with our communications team. Thanks for helping us get this sent out to more people. So a little housekeeping before we start. While on Zoom, we have all of you muted and your videos disabled. So if you'd like to speak, raise your hand and we can unmute you. We also have a chat box at the bottom, so it's a great way to interact with both the speakers and the other participants during the extent of the workshop. So please feel free to engage the other participants as the workshop is going on. If you have any questions, you can type that in the Q&A box, and we look forward to having you all participate today. So thank you, and now turning it over to you, Flavia.
Oops, sorry, we're actually turning to Kara already, so Kara can start. Thank you so much for your partnership, Kara. We are super excited to have you here today. And the floor is all yours. Please do a brief intro on your amazing nonprofit and the workshop you'll be doing today. Thank you.
Okay, sounds great. Thank you so much, Flavia and Betsy. I'm Kara with Rising Up Adventures, and we'll be talking about bike repair today, and we'll do a short bike repair clinic on changing a tire. Very important to do because it's important in these times. I know it can be stressful, and it's important to get outside and exercise. And thanks to the city of Miami Beach, we've got bike repair stations all over the city that you can use, and they'll be talking about that later, where they're located, what tools are on them. And so you don't have to worry. You can go out and ride your bike in these beautiful bike lanes in this city. Why does Rising Up Adventures care about this? We're a nonprofit organization that helps people to move through trauma, stored trauma in the body, through overcoming obstacles in the outdoors. Now, cycling has been proven to increase your mood, right? It releases serotonin and also dopamine, which puts you in a good mood and then gets you motivated. So it is important in these stressful times to get outside and ride your bike. Not only does it release brain chemicals to make you feel better, but emotionally you feel better because you overcame a challenge. And just those little bits of feeling better can help you throughout this time of isolation, shelter in place, to really be in a better place. Okay, so we're going to talk about today I'm going to do a little demonstration on how to remove the tire and how to fix a flat tire. Okay, so the first thing that you want to do whenever you need to fix the tire is to adjust the camera so that you have it in the right place. Okay, all right, now, I'm going to show you what you need to do is these here are rim brakes, and you can see that they're rim brakes because you can see the brake against the rim. Now, most of you that want to learn how to change a tire will most likely have rim brakes. There's another kind of brake, a disc brake that does not have these rims, but the brakes are down near the chain, near the derailleur. But today we'll talk about the rim brakes, okay? And so the first thing that you want to do is to release the brake cable. And notice, you can see here, yeah, I'm just pulling it through and releasing it. Sometimes it's a little tight and it's hard to do, but just be patient. I'm confident you'll be able to release the brake cable. Okay, and then what you want to do is you're going to take the tire off of the bike. Now, the great thing about the bike stands for the city of Miami Beach is that, look at this, you can elevate your bike, right? Now, you notice how it's off the ground, it is up on this stand. The city of Miami Beach's stands are a little different. They don't have this clamp. They have some posts that you put your bike on, but it's very self-explanatory how to put the bike on. Now, if you don't have a bike stand, you can also change your tire just by putting the bike upside down on the handlebars and the seat, okay? But since we have a bike stand, it's a little bit easier. Now, when you do that, when you release this tire, you want to make sure to hold the tire from falling, and because it's elevated. If it's upside down, you don't have to worry about the tire falling out. But when it's elevated right side up, you do want to make sure it doesn't fall. And so notice that I have my leg here. I'm releasing the lever. This is a quick release. I release the lever. I unscrew the nut. Okay. I'm unscrewing the nut. And now that it's loose, I'll have to take the tire out of the derailleur. Now, the way that I do that is with my thumb and my forefinger. Okay, I push the thumb down, use my finger to pull the chain back, and then I can easily release the tire from the chain. Okay, very simple with the thumb and forefinger. All right, so now I'm going to want to take the tire off of the rim. Now this one here is not flat. So what I'm going to do is use my handy tool. How many of you out there, I'm wondering, have your own set of bike tools here. I've got this very cool little compact set that has a lot of Allen keys, a flathead, a Phillips head. Go ahead and leave a comment in there about your favorite bike tool. That'll be fun to see. Okay, so now I'm going to use this plunger just to let the air out of the tube. Okay, it's nearly impossible to take the, sorry about the way that's pulsing. There we go. It's nearly impossible to remove the tire with air in the tube. Sometimes you might have had a flat, but it's not all the way flat, so you do want to check that. Okay, next thing you're going to do is you're going to take the tire levers. Okay, I wonder how many of you have tire levers. These are super important. It makes removing a tire so much easier. Now, you don't want to use the lever right here next to the valve stem. You want to use the tire lever away from the valve stem. You're going to put it inside of the bead. The bead in the tire is what holds the tire inside of the rim. And now that I've got the two tire levers in there, I'm going to release one side of the bead all the way around. Easy, okay, with my nice tire levers, which are on the bike mechanic stand, the city of Miami Beach. Okay, now that I've got one side of the bead removed, I'm going to turn it around and push the other side of the bead off, all the way around. Okay, notice how easy that was. Now, what would be the next important thing to do? Of course, you want to replace your tube. But what would you need to do with that tube so that you don't get another flat right away? Okay. What you want to do is you want to inspect the tube. Okay. And the best way to do that is to pump up the tube a little bit and to see where the leak is. Now, with the pump, what you want to do is push the valve stem in, pull up the lever. Once the lever's up, then you can pump it. That locks it in place. Okay, the City of Miami Beach bike stands also have pumps, not foot pumps, at least not the ones I've seen. I've seen the ones that are not foot pumps, and those are perfect. Okay, now, the reason I inflated, I put some air in is to see where the hole is. There are a few different kinds of punctures or holes that you can have in your bike tire, okay? Number one, you might have a puncture. That's just going to be one hole, right? That means that you likely went over a thorn, you went over some glass. Unlikely, since, I mean, I am amazed. I've lived here for 4 or 5 years at how clean this city is. They're always out there cleaning, and so it's very, I rarely run over glass. However, there could be puncture in there. There also could be snake bites, right? And so snake bites are when you have two slits in your tire. Now that's a result of low tire pressure. That's almost your, what you want to have, that's your favorite kind of flat, because then all you need to do is make sure you have good tire pressure, right? And then the third kind is you could have a blowout on the side, but that means, you know, often that's your wheel, your tire needs to be replaced, okay? But depending on what you have, let's say that you have a puncture, well then you'll need to look at the tire and find out where that puncture came from, right? Because you don't want to put another tube back in there and have it re-puncture. So you do a visual inspection on the outside, and if you don't see it, if you do, then you just take your pliers and remove it, right? Nice and easy. If you don't see it, then you've got to feel around the inside. Now, you want to be very careful because you're feeling for something that could injure you, right? It could be glass, it could be a thorn. And so very carefully, very gently, you take your time and feel around. I don't know if any of you have ever gotten injured before, feeling for something. I have. I've cut my finger. And so because of that, what I do now, actually, I'll show you. I have a guard in there that, you know, keeps my tire from getting punctured, okay, for the most part. All right. So once you've successfully removed whatever has been the problem, or let's say that it is a blowout on the side of your tire, then at that point you'll need to replace your tire as well. But once you've done that, now you pull out your new tube and you're going to put your new tube in. I'm sorry, one other thing that could have gone wrong is you could have also had a problem with your rim. I see that you can see here these spoke ends that are coming through the rim, and these are covered by this nice rubber here. And sometimes the spokes pop out, and this will pop your tire. You know, myself as a former rock climber, it seems like I always have some climbing tape or something on me, and so then I'll put a little tape over something in the meantime to hold it over so I can put a new spare tire. But you want to make sure that there's nothing rough inside of the rim as well, okay? Now, once you've taken care of whatever caused your flat, now it's time to put the new tube on. So you want to make sure as you're riding around town that you carry the right size tube, right? This is a 700 by, I think, what is it, 38 or something. It's written on the tire. There are also 26-inch tubes. You've got to carry the right size. You'll want to put the tube back into the tire with a little bit of inflation, like I have right here, okay? And when you do that, you want to find the spot that tells you how much tire pressure is on your tire. And you can see there that this says, trying to get it in the camera. There you go. You can see there that it says minimum 50, maximum 85. You can sort of make that out. All right. That's how much tire pressure I need. And I put the valve stem right in that spot. Why is that? Well, let's say that's your family, right? Let's say that you're taking all the kids riding and you need to continually pump the tires. You need to always put some air in your tires. Always check your tires before you head out. And it's a real pain to do if you've got to look all over the tire for the pressure on each different tire. So if you put the valve stem right where the pressure indicator is, then you all just look right where you're pumping. Okay, so notice I've had it slightly inflated and then I put it back that way. Why? So that it didn't bunch up. If it bunches up, then you're more likely to have it pop as well. Okay, and so now the next thing to be concerned about is the way that the tire goes on. If you look, you can see the treads here. Okay, look how the treads are coming in towards the center at a diagonal, right? They're pretty much making an arrow. You want the arrow of the treads to be pointing in the direction the tire will turn. That's important to put the treads on the right way. Now, some bikes are very difficult to find that, to understand which way the treads are pointing. There are different designs. So therefore, you can look on the side and you see that arrow, right? I know that this tire needs to go this way. All right. So now I've got my wheel and I know which way to face the wheel because I know that the cassette and the cogs here need to be on the right side just by looking at my bicycle. Okay. And now I'm going to put the valve stem right here, back inside the tire. Okay, and once again, I do one bead at a time. Again, the bead is the part of the tire that is tighter, that holds the tire inside the rim. So I just put, you know, an easier way to say it is one side of the tire back at a time. Okay. All right. You want that bead perfectly seated on the inside. Okay. You don't want it coming out. You don't want it going in too far. All right, I've got the bead perfectly seated on this side. Now I'm going to turn and put it in this side. Now this side can be more challenging. Why? You'll see. Okay. Right here is where it gets challenging. Now, what we have is the ends here. It's tight. It's supposed to be tight so that it holds your tire in. But sometimes it can be so tight that you can't push it back in. That's where your tire levers come in handy, okay? Again, the city of Miami Beach. I have never been to a city before that has bike maintenance stations all over the place. This is fantastic, guys. So you just grab your bike lever, and you want to be very careful not to puncture your tube, right? How frustrating if you puncture your tube right now. So you want to be very careful about that. Stick the bike lever in, flip it up, and there we go. Now, voila, we got the tube back in, folks. Okay, the next thing we want to do then is to finish pumping the tire. And who remembers what was the pressure? Oh, the other thing is you want the valve stem perfectly centered. You want it straight up and down. That's another way that you can get a flat, is if your valve stem is crooked or diagonal, then that can split the valve stem and you can get a flat that way. So you always want it straight up and down. And when it's flat is when you can move it a little bit. All right. So I'm going to connect the pump. Did anyone remember? Guys, did anyone tell me what pressure I've got to put it on? That's okay, I remember. It was. And I can always look right at the spot where my valve stem is. Minimum 50, maximum 85. Okay, perfect. Love that sound. All right, now I'm putting the cap back on the tire. Nice and secure. And I'm going to put the tire back onto the bicycle. And again, remember I use my thumb and my forefinger to grab the derailleur. All right. Thumb, pushing it down, forefinger, pulling it back. Oops, sorry. All right. Now when I put this back in, I want to put it on the smallest cog. That is, the cog are the chains here. I'm sorry, not the chains, but the place where the chain sits. You want to put it on the smallest one. That's the easiest way to replace the back tire. Using my leg. Again, if you don't use a bike stand, you can just place it in upside down. You can see that I'm using the quick release lever over here. I turn it just till it's tight, not any further. And then I close the lever. Okay. All right, the next thing I'm going to do, how many of you get so frustrated? I have been so frustrated changing tires that when you put the tire back on, now the brakes are all messed up, right? It messed up the balance of your brakes. So I'm going to show you what to do about that as well. All right, so right now we put it on. I'm checking. I've got my arrow going in the right direction. I've got my treads going in the right direction. I've got the cap on the tube. I've got the tube straight. All right, I'm sorry, the valve straight. And now I reconnect the brake cable. And This time, the brakes are fairly loose. They're very loose. It takes me some time to stop them, right? That's a lot of play in there. And so I'm just going to give you a quick tutorial on how to tighten the brakes. Okay, again, I've got my awesome bike tool here. Okay, I love this bike tool, but the city of Miami Beach has all of the tools you need. And they're just attached by these like cables, so it's really cool. And so what I'm going to do is, you see this cable nut right here. I'm going to loosen that. I know my hand is in the way here, but I'm going to loosen this. How do I know I'm loosening it? Lefty-loosey, remember? What does lefty-loosey mean? It means you turn left from the top side of the clock, not the bottom side. Okay, and then I'm going to push and loosen this nut. I pull some cable out, and then I re-tighten it. That will tighten up my brakes. So what I just did was loosen the nut and then pull some cable through. When I pull the cable through, I'm shortening the length here and tightening the brakes. Okay, and so now I check that. Okay, they're tight. However, unfortunately, I did this too perfectly, guys. Well, let's say that I didn't. One thing that happens is that oftentimes when you tighten this cable, this here, this balance nut right here, then needs to be adjusted. And the reason is because it messes up the distance between the two pads. And what happens is sometimes one pad is rubbing and the other is not. Okay, and so let's just say that this pad is too loose, and it is a little bit too loose. So I'm going to move this pad a little more closely towards the rim, right? And so that no longer will this one be so far away. The way that you move this pad towards the rim is you want to loosen it, lefty-loosey, all right? If you tighten this balance nut, it's going to pull the pad back towards the brake pad itself. It tightens it all together. When you loosen it, it loosens it so it can go closer to the rim. So this one is actually a little bit far away from the rim, so I'm going to loosen it. And you don't need to do this. You only want to do this when your brakes, one side's rubbing, right? So I'm loosening this. This is going to release the tension. There we go. I just saw it. It shifted. The whole thing shifted this way. So now it's much more balanced between the two. Go ahead and, yep. So nothing is rubbing and the brakes are nice and tight. Perfect. Okay. So now we're just going to have a review of what we just did and stress the importance of getting out there to ride. Okay. So basically, thank you guys for joining me. Basically, we just changed the back tire, okay? And what did we do? First, we disconnected the brake cable. Then, holding the bottom of the tire, we used our thumb and our power finger there, whatever you call this one, and we pulled the derailleur, released the tire. We used our tire levers to loosen the bead, not at the valve stem, okay? And then once the bead was loose, we could turn the other side, push that off, all right? Once it's off, then we checked the tube for what kind of puncture. Remember, one puncture would be a thorn or glass or something. You need to be very careful checking for that, okay? You don't want to get cut. And then once we figured out what the puncture was, then we replaced everything, all right? And doing that, we put the bead on one side at a time. Again, if it's too difficult to do that last part, you can use that tire lever. Being careful not to puncture your tube right there. I've done it before. It is so frustrating. So you want to be very gentle right there. Then replace it and then check the brakes. And it's a good opportunity. I look forward to the opportunity for a flat tire to be able to adjust my brakes, right? So it's a great time to do it. And bike mechanics is easy, guys. It's just a matter of a few tools. There are lots of tutorials on YouTube. You can also go to risingupadventures.org. You can see our programs. We take survivors of trauma, including foster youth, riding. We take them out into the great outdoors. We take them to the Everglades. We take them to Miami Beach. We take them all over the place so that they can get out and experience the freedom and the good feeling of riding. Because as you know, with the shelter in place, you can get stuck in your own little world that's stressful, all right? And it's so important to have good mental health and to get out and ride. All right, you don't have to worry about social distancing. One thing you can do, for the most part, I ride a lot of times without a handkerchief right now because it's open, fresh air and I'm away from people, but I do bring it with me because sometimes it's really crowded. It's a beautiful day and the bike paths and everything are crowded. So I just tie this on and I ride. You don't need a formal handkerchief. You can use a t-shirt. You can cut it up, you know, put it around you and ride. The kids can ride with bandanas as well. So it's a safe thing to do. It's a healthy family activity. Please don't stop because of social distancing, okay? And then mental health is very important right now, right? It helps us to get through with our immune systems and physical health. And then lastly, you can go to risingupadventures.org. You can see everything that we do, and you can print out a PDF if you go to the bike mechanics tab of what we just did today, and you can carry that with you as well. So thank you very much, guys, and thank you to the city of Miami Beach for having such a great city for being healthy and bike riding.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you so much, Kara. We really appreciate it. What an awesome workshop. Learned so much today. We have some questions here in the chat, so just want to read out loud because you are the expert. We have a person here that's saying that, you know, whenever she needs to change the tire, she just feels like the tire being soft, and then she uses the pump to pump it up, but only until it feels like the tire feels firm. She never really check or look the number on the pump. She just doesn't check the pressure. She's asking if that's really bad.
It's best to check the pressure. The reason that it's best to check the pressure is because it really can pump up much tighter with a much higher pressure than you think it should, right? And what happens if you ride on lower pressure that's too low is you can get a flat. You can get one of those snake bite flats. It also can be wobbly. And so you just want to ride, and then also it can wear down the treads. If the tire's not inflated enough, it can actually wear the insides of the treads down. So you want to make sure that you're at a really good pressure. If you don't have a pressure gauge, then, you know, pump it up as firm. You want to pump it so when you squeeze it really hard, you can't push it in at all, right? But if you have a gauge, you want to do the right pressure. Good question.
All right, and Yanni and Betsy, I don't know if you guys see any other questions because our chat was very active as you were changing. Folks were talking about getting their tools, you know, where they keep their tools. Like some folks answered that they keep on the back of their jersey or, you know, in the little bag that is attached to their seat. So where do you usually keep your tools, Kara?
Oh, that's a great question. And let me start that off by saying, I should have mentioned this earlier. This is an expensive, well, this is a very, very nice home bike mechanic stand. And this was donated to Rising Up Adventures from Park Tools. So thank you, Park Tools. They also donated a huge set of tools as well. We're affiliated with Trips for Kids Rising Up, and Park Tools donates to Trips for Kids. But they also have tutorials on their website as well. Fantastic company. And so you know, a lot of people have a little pack here under the seats, and that little, you know, bike tool that I showed you is so compact. You can put that, you can put a little tube, and you can put your tire levers there under the seats. I always carry a backpack, and I'm glad you asked what I carry because there's something very important to carry, and that's a bike lock. Okay, why? Why would you carry a bike lock if you just, you know, going in an exercise ride and you don't plan on stopping? In the unfortunate event that you or someone you're riding with gets hurt, you know, I'm a bike guide. So of course we've been out there when there's injuries, and you want to attend to the person that you're with. Or let's say it's you, let's say something happens, you don't have the tools to change your tire or whatever, it's flat and you need to call an Uber or Lyft home. You don't want to ever make the decision between someone being safe or you getting to a safe spot and abandoning your nice bike. So you always want to bring a bike lock, always, 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 so that you can take care of yourself when you're out bike riding. Tools, I carry them in a backpack because I carry all kinds of fun things with me. Yeah.
Awesome.
Any other questions?
And then we have, do you pump to the max or just below? And also any shops open for repairs that you would recommend?
Oh, that's a great question. I do not know if there are shops open for repairs. I tried calling yesterday, I couldn't find any open. But if they are open, if you know of a shop that's open, email me and I'll send the email out to everyone else. I'm sorry, what was the other part of that question? Shops open and there was another part.
The pump. If you when you pump the tire, do you pump to the max of the pressure, or keep below the pressure?
Yeah, so I guess that depends really on what kind of riding you're doing. If you're riding mostly on the road, then you'll want to keep it pretty close to maximum pressure. If you're mountain biking or riding off-road, people like to keep the tire pressure more towards the minimum pressure. Just so they're not bouncing so hard on everything. But when you're road riding, people tend to keep it more towards maximum.
All right, and then last one, two of their spokes came off the ring. Where can they go? Well, I guess it's the same question, where they can go for help. So.
Yeah, sorry, I just don't know. I did call some shops yesterday. We've got, when shops are open, we've got Fritz right here on Lincoln Road. They're fantastic. They work with me a lot, A lot of times I don't have time often. I have too many bike repairs that need to be done at once because let me tell you, the kids that ride our bicycles, they're very hard on them, right? And then suddenly I need everything adjusted right after I've taken them riding. So I'll take stuff down to Fritz. They're fantastic here in Miami Beach. Also, Alton Road, 5th Street bicycle shop, they're really good as well. And then I also really like the folks in Miami Bike Shop. They're really, really good folks. So they have a little bar down there. Bar meaning like, healthy energy drinks and stuff like that. But as far as who's open now, I'm sorry, I just don't know.
Yeah, I think we just got an answer from Lisa mentioning that the 5th Street Bike Shop is open. So
there you go. There you go.
There we go.
Yeah, they're a great bike shop too. They've worked on my bikes as well.
All right. Well, Kara, we still have the other presenter to go. So thank you so much for all your help.
Get on
your
ride,
amazing
everyone.
Energy. Yeah, get on a ride,
thank
everyone.
You.
Definitely.
Right.
Mental health. I'll pass
right.
now to Yanni. So would you like to pass the presentation now? Can you transition so we can start with Linda?
Yes. I'm going to pull up the presentation. Linda, once you're ready, we'll spotlight your video.
Okay, welcome. That was a great presentation. Thank you, Kara. So what I'm here to talk about is how Miami Beach is becoming more bike friendly. Next slide. So the good news is we have 9 bike stations, and you can see what they look like on the left. They have the bar where you can put your bike, and you see the tools underneath the gray diagonal bar on the top, and also a bike pump on the right. So it's really a complete set of what you need to make the basic repairs that happen for the accidents or flats that happen when you're on the road. And on the right, you can see the locations on the bike repair stations. Next slide. So the great news is Miami Beach is already a wonderful place to bike. We've had City Bike open since 2017. Many years ago, the 16th Street bike lane was put in. The Venetian Causeway bike lanes are a fantastic facility, and the beach walk just keeps getting longer and longer and better and better. And next slide. And Miami Beach is a bike-friendly community, and our community survey shows that. 47% of the households regularly ride a bike. the place where we can improve is that 62% do not exactly feel totally safe when riding their bike. So next slide, please. So the 2016 Transportation Master Plan sought to improve biking in Miami Beach. It proposed a bike network, and we've been quite successful with the activities we've done. There are now over 8 miles of bike lanes since 2016. We have the bike repair stations, and we also have over 750 U-racks that have been installed. Next slide, please. So what are the big picture goals for the Transportation Master Plan? One, we want to reduce congestion and car accidents, but really we want to make Miami Beach more friendly for pedestrians, bikes, and transit. Next slide, please. Next slide. So the one thing that's great about bike facilities and bike lanes is study after study has shown that bike lanes also are great for economic resilience. So the businesses will benefit once the bike lanes go in. Next slide, please. So how did we do this? The City of Miami Beach set a modal hierarchy which formalized its preference for pedestrians first, transit, bikes, and freight second, and private vehicles or cars third. Next slide, please. So at the same time, we also set some targets. The existing, we studied the mode share, and there were currently 5% of the travel in Miami Beach was done by bike. And in 2035, we set the goal to increase it to 10%. And the great benefit of this is if we achieve this, there'll be 99 tons of greenhouse gases less per day. Next slide, please. So we also prioritized where bikes should go in the city. In the middle circle, you'll see the proposed priority corridors for bikes in Miami Beach. And we've come a long way in planning facilities for most of those corridors. And I'll briefly walk you through those next. Next slide, please. So this shows our progress. We've gotten a lot of funding and have a lot of projects in design. There are 102 projects in the master plan, and the total value is $902 million. Next slide, please. So one of the projects we have in design is Meridian Avenue from 16th Street to Dade Boulevard. We should be getting a permit from the county this week, and hopefully in the next couple months, we will start painting of and repaving of the facility on Meridian Avenue. Next slide, please. Another project we have in design are bike lanes on 72nd Street and 73rd Street between Dickens and the Beach Walk. So you'll see 73rd Street on the top and what it'll look like on 72nd Street facing west on the bottom. Next slide, please. Also starting design, we have the Chase Avenue shared use, Chase and 34th Street shared use path. It goes from Alton Road to Prairie Avenue along the north side of the golf course. And you can see what it's like in the top portion of the slide. Next slide, please. Also, another exciting project and a big project is proposed shared use path along Alton Road from Michigan to 43rd Street. And it's exciting because it'll be the first buffered bicycle lanes in Miami-Dade County. And FDOT will be redesigning them as part of the redesign of Alton Road. And you can see the rendering on top of what it will look like in the future. On the east side of Alton Road, adjacent to the golf course. Next slide, please. There are several projects that are completing planning. We're studying 17th Street between Bay Drive and the Beach Walk. The majority of the corridor will have bike lanes on the north and south side. In the middle of the corridor between Washington and Meridian, there are currently about 400 trolleys and buses per day that travel the corridor. That's enough to support a dedicated bus and bike lane. They're not so common in Florida, but in other major US cities, they're starting to be implemented, and they've been around France and England for quite a while. You can see what that's proposed to be up on the up in the top portion of the slide. Next slide, please. We're also going to commission on the 22nd for approval of the 23rd Street Complete Street project. You see a concept plan up on the screen. This is exciting because it will be constructed as part of the final improvements for the Collins Park garage. So the time frame, this should be implemented by the end of the year. So it's very exciting. Next slide, please. We're also completing planning for Dave Boulevard from Bay Drive to 23rd Street. You can see the concept plan up on the top. It'll look a lot like what you see in the bottom half of the slide. Next slide, please. So those are a few of the projects we've worked on. There's many more in the pipeline. Next slide, please. And a critical part of this process is working with the community. We've learned so much. And primarily, we learned that there's never enough outreach. So next slide, please. So we've expanded our outreach to include all of the techniques on the bottom, web postings, computer visualizations, a departmental PIO. We now have a mailing list of people that we keep posted on the progress of our bike projects. If you're interested in being on the mailing list, please send me an email and I can add you. Next slide, please. But the thing that we've learned is that we will have as many meetings as it takes. So the takeaways are, build a network a piece at a time, leverage existing projects like the Collins Park Garage or the sustainability projects coming on board, build community support for the projects, and have as many meetings as it takes. Thank you, that's it.
All right, thank you so much, Linda. We really appreciate it. Let me go back here to the chat. Yanni, help me out. I don't know if I don't see any questions right now. If anyone has any questions, please send out in the question and answer chat, and then we can go back to Linda. Since we are running out of time, I would say, oh, they're asking, what's your email, Linda? Oops, Linda, I think Linda is muted. Let me unmute you. Here we go.
Yeah.
They're asking for your email.
My email is lindaweston@miamibeachfl.gov. So it's LYNDA. There you go.
There you go.
It's on the screen.
Awesome.
Thank you, Elizabeth.
Yeah, it's in the chat. All right, so we're going to pass to Yanni, and Yanni will go to the Kahoot moment that everybody has been waiting for. And let's see if you guys are paying attention to the presentation.
So we have a quick question. There was a question about bike lanes on Alton Road in the South Beach area. We're proposing bike lanes on West Avenue instead of Alton Road. And that project is very far along in the planning and design phase. So you should see comprehensive bike lanes coming there in the future.
And guys, if anybody has any question regarding specific project that Linda talked today, please send out to us. You know, we can always do presentations on the specific projects as well. All right, Yanni, moving to you.
Awesome, thank you. Can you see me on the screen? Just double checking.
Yep, we can see you.
Okay, great. All right, so we're gonna play a quick game called Kahoot, but before we do that, one of the things that Betsy mentioned was how we want to really focus on these workshops because they promote sustainability within our homes and also our work environment. One of the things that we're asking everyone to do is to provide us with maybe ideas of what you're doing at home, either through our Twitter account at miamibeachnews.com. I'm sorry, at Miami Beach News, or through our Instagram account, which is the same handle. So tell us what you're doing at home. You can also post them and just hashtag MBRisingAbove, and we're more than happy to highlight any efforts that you're taking on at home. So yeah, so let's get started on the quiz. I'm going to share the screen so I can lay out a few ground rules for it. Give me a second. So do you guys see the screen, Flavia?
Yes, we do.
Okay, perfect. So the first thing you're going to need is your phone, and you're going to go to your browser and type in kahoot.it. And although I have 4 questions listed here, we're actually going to do 3. And each question is going to be based off everything that we've spoken about today. And it's not based on the correct answer, but also how fast you actually answer. So whoever wins at the end, we're going to have top 3 scores, and we're going to have a quick prize for you. So I'll share my email towards the end of the workshop, so you can reach out to me and we can touch base later on how we can give you your prizes. So I'll give everyone a minute to go to the browser, and then I'll switch over. So it's kahoot.it. So we'll switch over to the other one. Do you guys see that one, Flavia?
Yeah, it's on.
Perfect. So now you're going to put in your nicknames and use the code that I have listed up here and type that into the web page that you want to. So we'll give everyone about a minute to log in and we'll get started. It's been about a minute. We're going to go ahead and get started. We already have a good number of people coming in. So the first question. What causes snakebite holes in the tube? So that's supposed to be got it right. And we have Dan and Nia in the lead. What can you not do at a bike repair station? Can purchase bicycles at bike repair stations. All right, moving on to the last one. Now we have Les at the top. Based on a modal prioritization. So these are the top 3 people. over the prizes that you're going to get over this. Flavia, do you have anything else to add, or is there any questions?
No, just would like to thank everyone so much for joining us. Guys, we apologize some of the technical issues. You know, we are learning as we go. The more we do this, the better we'll get. So, and also thank our panelists, Linda and Kara. Thank you so much. You guys are amazing. We really appreciate. And again, if you folks have any questions, please reach out. You have your contact information. This will be uploaded to our portal. So we'll share the link with you guys. It's the same link where you guys register pretty much. Just go back there and the presentation will be uploaded so you guys can watch again and, you know, try to get your tires on. So yeah, thanks a lot, everyone. We really appreciate it. And I hope you guys have a great week. On Thursday, we are back. We'll be sending you guys a flyer very soon. We'll have another workshop coming on Thursday about coral reefs. So very exciting. Stay tuned.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Thank you.
Linda, one of the panelists asked